Oh. Okay. Hello, YouTube. I'm just waiting for my TikTok people to turn up. Just starting my live. Hello. Don't recognize that name. You might be new. I get a lot of regulars on these. I do them most days. I've just been super busy lately, so I haven't done it for a couple days alive. Just a sec here. Just setting up something. Okay. So while we're waiting for people to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So where are you from? Where are you from? What's the weather? It's really windy and cooler today. We've had some warm weather, but last year was really weird. We went from winter to summer. There was no spring. It's like one day I was wearing a parka, and the next day I was wearing a singlet. That's a tank top. Sorry, singlet. That's an Australian term. I lived in Australia for 20 years. I get mixed up sometimes. Is this Canadian or is this Australian? A singlet is a tank top in Australia. Like I still call sweaters jumpers. Okay, so where are you from? Okay. Hi, Lisa. Maggie, Slovakian living in Sweden. Nice. Was waiting for you to come live. That's sweet. Well, welcome. You've been here before, haven't you, Maggie? Anyway, okay. I'm trying to remember the names. I usually remember the cities where people are from or the countries. But anyway, where are you from? I'm just waiting to get going. I usually wait till I get about 100 people. It is, it's not a really weird time for me to be on. Here in Canada, it's Victoria Day, or in BC anyway. I don't know about the rest of Canada. But yeah, Victoria Day. I never know I have no concept of public holidays. I never know what's happening. I'm just surprised I don't forget Christmas. I don't know why. I have no concept of public holidays. Never know what's going on because I work for myself. So I work 7 days a week. Hi, Dubai. Yeah, usually the questions start after. I usually wait till I get about 100 people on here. It takes about a minute usually. But sometimes they're slower. Usually, people pick up. Here in Canada, it's a public holiday, so you never know. It's really weird out there in the streets. It's all like no traffic, and it's great. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, I bought this is totally off topic, and I'm just waiting to hear where you're from. That's why I'm just yabbering on. I bought a Ninja Creamy. It's an ice cream maker. It's so delicious. If you're looking for if you love ice cream, buy a Ninja Creamy. I have no affiliation with them at all, but oh my goodness, I just have ice cream for breakfast every morning. What I do is I make blueberries, like I just use frozen blueberries, and then I add the ice cream to that. It's so good. Anyway, so I just finished that. That's why I'm talking about it. Okay, Southern California, Kentucky, Indiana, South Florida. So Florida is a really long state, isn't it? So yeah, South Carolina. That's not a long state, is it? South and North Carolina. I get a lot of people from Carolina, South and North Carolina. Anyway, okay, I'll get going. We've got about 50 people here. That's good. And people come and go all the time, depending on how busy you are. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, hi, Texas, Eastern Canada. What part of Eastern Canada? That's a big part of the world, Eastern Canada. That for me, that could be Alberta, because I'm in Vancouver. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on Bratbusters.com, Nova Scotia, excellent. Welcome. Anyway, on Bratbusters.com, you can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. And the behavior board is different from any other because you're on it too. You have to be accountable. I teach calm leadership parenting, and a leader is accountable. The authority isn't. The authority is my way or the highway, and the pleaser is very different too. So the pleaser is very trendy right now. Anyway, so I talk a lot about the different parenting styles in that I don't name them, but they're except the authority and the pleaser, but that's sort of a general term. But yeah, the authority is the old fashioned way of parenting. The pleaser is really trendy right now, but I think it's going away because it's just not working. So anyway, and I teach calm leadership. I just made that term up. Oklahoma. Hi, Oklahoma. Iowa. Ohio. Oh boy, you confused me there. I get mixed up. Ohio, Iowa. I've said a combination of those two. Ohio. I crack me up. Okay, so let's get going. How do you deal with tantrums when it's time to leave somewhere and they don't want to leave? If they're young, you just pick them up and carry them out. You just keep on, like, you just keep the momentum going. Whatever you were going to do, you act like a leader and you just make it happen. If they're bigger and you just stand there and wait, you just look at your watch maybe and you're just waiting, waiting, waiting. I just did a video yesterday, I think it was, and I knew what I was doing. I knew it would get big views because I'm talking about tantrums. I said, stop telling me not to ignore tantrums or something like that. But it's just there's two things that drive me nuts in my business. It's that this fact that you have to validate every single feeling. It's these trends that are out right now. You got to validate every single feeling, the tantrums. You have to validate all their emotions. If ignoring a tantrum is going to mess your kid up, you got bigger fish to fry. If they're confident and they feel loved and they feel safe with you, you can ignore a tantrum. They're going to learn, hey, wait a minute, this crazy stuff doesn't get rewarded with anything, no attention, nothing. Maybe I'll stop doing it. The other one that drives me insane is it's the same thing kind of. It's the mini therapy sessions when you're trying to talk about all their big feelings and big emotions and all this stuff. Like, you do not need to validate every single feeling and emotion. That's absolutely ludicrous. You're building self-entitled snowflakes who expect everyone to validate everything they do. It's like, you didn't validate my feelings. I'm just the bus driver lady. Like, it's just ridiculous. They can learn that maybe if I act crazy, maybe that's not a good thing. I get ignored. It's okay to ignore tantrums. It's okay. Got myself all worked up there. I forgot what your question was. I got myself all worked up. It cracked me up. Okay. Okay, so if it's a tantrum and you have to leave somewhere, if you know they're going to have a tantrum, my son used to have tantrums whenever we'd leave somewhere fun. Well, not every time. He was unpredictable. So, which most of them are. And, but yeah, I would just sort of stand there and wait if he was old. Like, he stopped having tantrums at about 3.5, 3 to 3.5. They kind of started ending because he realized mom's never going to feed this. And, but anyway, so yeah, I just waited him out or picked him up and carried him and made sure that if we're leaving, we're leaving. There's no way that I would let him get away with that. Like, whatever he was tantruming over or whatever they're tantruming over, make sure that doesn't happen. Like, if they start tantruming because they don't want to leave, never say, okay, 5 more minutes. Oh my God, they're totally in charge. Okay, exhausted pleaser. The pleaser parent, I get it. I truly do. It looks very pretty. Now, I love you. I know it's okay to be upset. And it just doesn't work. It's garbage. It's just garbage. You do not need to validate all those crazy emotions, right? And besides, a tantrum is not really an emotion. A tantrum is a loss of emotional control. Okay, it's different. It gains momentum. The feeling behind it has nothing to do with, once they've got that momentum going, the feeling is long gone anyway. So, okay. And don't worry about it. If you're yelling or you're the pleaser parent, the authority parent, you're here because you want to learn, right? You want to change. That's okay. I'll tell you what I was with my kids and what I teach. I was best friends with my kids. They were self-disciplining because I got respect when they were tiny and just sailed right through it. They knew how to make good choices. That's it. Were we perfect? No, but we respected each other. They never once ever said, I hate you or anything like that. It just didn't happen. So, because it was mutual respect. But I was very much the leader, for sure. When they were little, they wanted to please me, and I didn't want that forever because you don't want obedient little soldiers. That's ridiculous. But then when they were teenagers, you want them to be their own leaders, but they tell you everything. They run everything by you, but you want them to be their own leaders. Okay. How do you deal with young kids, 5-year-old misbehaving in school? That's a tell for me. If they're misbehaving in school, it means that they're misbehaving at home. It's very rare for them to misbehave. If they have a leader at home, they don't misbehave at school. My son used to say it's the same thing. But when he was a teenager, one of his friends said to him, would you ever break the law? Like, they were just chatting, right? And he says, no, I'd be terrified my mom would get to me before the police could. So I was very much a leader even then. And it was just a joke. But anyway, when he was little, he knew that I was still in charge, even though he was at school. He like, my kids were just sort of, they respected me, so they respected everyone. It's just the way it is. They knew how to respect. That's it. So yeah, work on your parenting. It's not about school. You can't change anything that's happening at school if you haven't fixed it at home. Everything starts at home. So yeah, that's a tell for me. May I ask your education? I don't have any. Thank God, because when I was 20, I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11, and they very quickly started sending all the difficult kids my way. I was always good at dealing with kids. And I just was. Everyone's sort of born with a talent. That was mine, period. Anyway, when I was 20, I thought I was going to be a child psychologist because I always found kids. Everyone kept saying, oh, you got to work with kids or something. Anyway, so I took a course, and it was a preliminary course for university, whatever. And they kicked me out after a week because I asked too many questions. What they were teaching was absolute crap. It was this authority. This, I'm sure they've changed now, but I mean, this is back in 1980. So, because I'm 62 now. So anyway, they kicked me out. Plus, all the other students started asking me questions because I just get it. I just understand kids. I always kind of did. Anyway, that's my education. I'm kid taught. Kids taught me everything. I'm experience based. Thank God I never became a child psychologist. A lot of my clients are child psychologists and all that. They have a huge amount of my clients have child development degrees because parenting is different. Parenting is a real niche. It's just different. Like I couldn't teach. I wouldn't have a clue. I couldn't child psychology. I wouldn't have a clue. But I can teach parenting. I understand the relationship between parent and child. I just get it. Am I perfect? God, no. Who'd want to be perfect? Do I know everything? God, no. Nobody does. Anyone who tells you they do, they're ridiculous. But I do a pretty good job. I'm pretty confident. I've been doing this now for 51 years, working with kids, and I've finished the job with my own kids, so they're grown-ups now. They're probably your age. Okay. Have you heard eye tics that aren't Tourette's? Yes, I have. Yeah, but I'm not a doctor, so I don't discuss that. Dealing with tantrums with a child that is not talk yet. Well, it's all physical. It's all consistent corrective actions. If it's a child that doesn't talk yet, I'm assuming they're a toddler, perhaps, unless they have some challenges. I actually have a tantrum busting course on my website. It's a mini course. They're $29. I only have toddler courses on there for a reason. You'll understand in a couple of months why. I don't have any other courses on there right now. But anyway, yeah, it's toddler. It just explains that you just ignore them. I talk about this all the time. If you look on my TikTok here, I just did a video a couple days ago, and it was a little bit of clickbait because I knew people were going to get upset with me, but I just get so mad at this. People always saying you never ignore tantrums. This is exactly what you do. You ignore tantrums. But you don't walk away, you don't look on your phone, you're right there. But you're modeling calm behavior. You ignore the crazy, which is the tantrum, and you reward the calm. As soon as they finish tantruming, do you want to go to the park? You reward the calm. You don't discuss the tantrum because that's punishment. They just went through this horrific scene that they just had this tantrum, and then you're going to talk about it? How mean is that? I just think it's awful. Okay. My 7-year-old, I like this one. Well, I don't like what's happening, but it's a good one. My 7-year-old was such a bully to her brother today. I had to send her to a room at the end. So I blah, blah, blah. Then maybe it just wasn't finished. Anyway, so so I can get the other ones to sleep. Yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But the ideal situation is if an older sibling is rotten to a younger sibling, that younger sibling gets the older one's favorite toy for the rest of the day. So in other words, you do something mean to someone, you have to do something nice for them. Hey, that's your game over there. They get to play with your game now for the rest of the day. That's the punishment fits the crime. But if you get the other kids to bed and everything, do whatever you got to do. I don't like timeout. I don't like grounding. I don't like sending kids to their room. I don't like teenage curfews. I don't like any of that stuff. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Okay. I wonder what people who don't ignore the tantrums do that works for them. The thing is, oh, sugar. Sorry, I just got an email from someone. If you're watching here, you'll know who. I got a course going, and my course is brand new, so there's a glitch in the course right now. Glitch in course, so I got to fix that up. That's why I kept my email open. I was waiting to see because there's a mistake in my course right now, and it's brand new. I've got this new beta group going through it with me. So there's a mistake in it. I thought I'd fixed it. Evidently I didn't. So after this, I'll have to go back and fix it. what was I talking about? Oh, what do other people do? I don't know because I only teach what I know. And plus I stay out of my lane. I mean, I stay in my lane. I do not look at what anyone else out there is doing. The only reason I know what's very common out there is my clients tell me all the time. All the time. People argue with me all the time about this stuff because I'm not trendy. I'm very not trendy. What I'm teaching is against what's trendy. So yeah, now here's the thing this is what I hear from clients who come to me. They say, yeah, it kind of worked initially, but then ended up backfiring. So that's the thing. Most people who are teaching what's trendy right now are young parents, and that stuff backfires. It's like yelling. It might work temporarily, but it'll backfire. I always say I work backwards from the teen. Teens are my specialty, the troubled teens. So I work backwards from that. I know how to get you into those teen years. That's my experience based, is those teens. So I know how to get you there. The other stuff, from what I hear, my clients say it was a disaster. So just the ones who come to me, I'm sure there's others who are successful. By the way, you can have easy kids and you can do everything wrong or everything right, and they're going to turn out great anyway. It doesn't matter. But most kids need more guidance. Okay. So, but some kids, anything's going to work, right? They're just easy kids. My daughter would have been like that. Not my son. He had tantrums. My daughter was just really laid back. She's still to this day. She hates any confrontation. She just can't stand. She's a very level-headed, calm personality. So she would have been easy no matter what. She says what I gave her that she wouldn't have had maybe with a different style of parenting is I gave her a lot of confidence because I pushed her. She would have just hung on to mom forever. But no, I pushed her out there and made her confident. Oh, do you recommend timeouts? Hate timeout. Can't stand timeout. Hate it. I think it's mean. You go over there, you're not even worth talking to. Then after you're finished sitting in the corner, nose to wall, thinking about what you did, then I'm going to come over and discuss it further. Like it's just negative, 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 negative. Look at my, on Bratbusters.com. If your child is 3 and over, you can start with my behavior board. If not, it's consistent corrective actions. So if they're under 3, it's consistent corrective actions right in the moment. The behavior board is, here's the rule, there's the consequence. They need some sense of reasoning to use the behavior board. They don't have that when they're 1 and 2 years old. They haven't developed that yet. They're one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. So they haven't developed the ability to reason yet, okay? But yeah, it's consistent corrective action. So if they do something wrong, you say no and you take a toy away or remove them from the fun for a few minutes or whatever. Consistent corrective action because they learn through repetition. Not the first time, not the 10th time, maybe the 50th or the 100th time. It's repetition is how they learn when they're little. I have 2 teens caught vaping and sexting. I am furious. They aren't supposed to have phones. Yeah, I deal with this stuff all the time. That's a coaching issue because you don't discipline what they're doing wrong. You work on your relationship first, and then we address that stuff. If you want to work with me, that would be 5 sessions. It's on Bratbusters.com. I can't address that here because it's a big one. Like it's a bigger one. I have to know what kind of parent are you? When did this start? What's your relationship like with your teens? How old are they? When they're sexting, who are they sexting with? Are they sending nude pictures? Blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of investigation into that. I have to assess the whole situation before we move forward. Now with teenagers, you have to bond with them before you discipline. With little ones, you discipline. That is the bonding. That's how you get respect with little ones. With teenagers, you got to get respect before you can even think about disciplining. So yeah, it's a slow burn process, by the way. A lot of parents with teenagers, they want me to help them in week 1. And I'm like, well, let me assess it all. And then we're going to start the bonding process. And they're saying, yeah, but they're doing this, that, and the other. And I say, right. Like it's a slow burn. You got to work on it. It's step 1, step 2, step 3. But yeah, they're my favorite age, teenagers. Not many people specialize in teenagers. Do you know what's interesting is I get hired by tons of my clients have child development degrees. They could be teachers, principals, social workers, school counselors, child psychologists. I have never been hired by a youth worker. A youth worker works with troubled teenagers. That's my specialty too. I mentored troubled teens. If you can get respect from a troubled teen, you can get respect from anyone in this whole world. They're like your PhD in parenting or child. If you can get respect from a troubled teen and get the best out of them, that's the PhD right there. So I've never been hired by a youth worker. If I have, they never admitted to it. Well, they would though if they, but youth worker, yeah. Anyway, they're my favorite age. Can we sign up for a more one-on-one with you? Yeah, that's on my website, bratbusters.com. It's in the coaching section. Okay, one-on-one. I have a course going right now. I'm almost finished with this group. It'll be another week, and then it'll be open to the public. But some of those, some people, I sent out a whole bunch of invitations to that course, and just so many of them just signed up to one-on-one coaching. And some of them could have gone through the course and it would have been good too, but some of them, no. One-on-one coaching is just a higher level of, obviously it's one-on-one. The coaching is group coaching is involved in that. It's a course, but it has group coaching. That's great too. You know what's great about that course though? With the group coaching, they get to see each other on Zoom. So you see that, oh, wait a minute, I'm not the only one going through this. No, you're not. You're not at all. Okay. How can you teach a 4-year-old to share? She's starting school in August. If she's an only child and doesn't have to share at home, you can't do that. That's a social skill generally they learn at school. If they don't learn it quickly, other kids usually teach them pretty quickly. So see how it goes at school around other kids. Yeah. Yeah, you can't teach that if there's no kids to share with, right? So it's a social skill that they learn. I remember I was basically an only child because my brother was a teenager when I was born. So I was like raised with 3 adults in the house, basically. And so he didn't want to play with my Barbie dolls or anything. I never had to share. And I can remember I'd never had anyone snatch anything from me before when I was little. Like, because, who's going to snatch anything from me when I'm the only little kid, right? And I remember going to preschool or somewhere, and I can remember kids, I was holding something, and I'm very fussy about everything. I always was. Everything's looked after and lined up nicely. And I remember a kid snatching something I was holding. I didn't cry or anything. Like I was a pretty tough kid, like confident. And I remember them and I remember being so confused by that. I thought, why would you be mean like that? I just didn't understand it. So, but I learned. I had to learn. You don't take anything precious that you don't want grabbed from you when you go to school. So, oops. Oh shoot, I hate it in this. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll and then it goes quickly because I talk so much and then a whole bunch of, I was just trying to read one. You were saying you were so tough on your 21. There we go. I was so strict with my 21-year-old boy. Now these girls are 15, 14. Oh my goodness. I'm almost gray at 38. Gray at 38. Well, I'm 62 and I'm not gray yet. So it doesn't mean you have to go gray. Do you have a question though? Leadership parenting is about mutual respect. They want to please you. They feel good about themselves. They like themselves when they're with you. So they discipline themselves. My kids were self-disciplining. I didn't have to discipline. So that's what I teach. You don't want to have to be telling kids what to do, right? That's what I teach. Okay. New here. How do I get help from you? Well, you can keep watching. I'm usually on here every single day. If you want one-on-one help, that's on my website, bratbusters.com. You can hire me. I do one-on-one Zoom calls. That's my private coaching stuff if you want that. So usually I recommend 3. If you've got younger children, 5 with teenagers. Often people hire me time and time again because you can imagine stuff comes up over the years, right? But anyway, if you can only manage or handle like you can only afford 1 session, I'll do my best, but it's really best to have 3 minimum because I like to see, okay, so what did you do? What worked and what didn't? Has nothing to do with the kids. It has everything to do with you. So I get to know you. Anyway, that's it. That's coaching. It's my favorite thing to do because I don't have kids anymore. They're grown up. So I get to mother all my clients. I'm very protective of you too. But parenting's hard. Don't let other people make you feel bad about it. I'm sure there's lots of stuff they're struggling with too. Okay, I have 2-year-old twins. When one tantrums, she screams and won't stop. I can't always sit with her. Oh, you don't sit with her. No, you just ignore her. Let her go. I did a video. Oh shoot, that was I have a private Facebook group for the course people, but I posted this video. It's like 10 years old. And it shows this mom, she's filming her little kid who's about 1, tantruming. As soon as she walks away, she's filming the empty hallway, and then the kid stops tantruming, gets up, looks for her. As soon as he spots her, he lays down, starts tantruming again. They're really just doing it for your attention. That's not true. They can sometimes get momentum going after a while, usually when they get older. But anyway, so yeah, just ignore it. Don't sit with her. I don't do that. Just keep going about your day, but don't leave the room on purpose. But yeah, they'll eventually learn. You always reward the calm, not the crazy. You stay on the high road. As soon as they join you on the high road, then you reward them. If they're on the low road, the crazy road, which is the tantrum, you just go about your day as if you don't even see them. Okay? Like, don't leave the room. Don't be angry or anything, but it's like they're invisible. They will eventually learn. They just do. It works. I did a bit of a clickbait video because I knew it was going to go big. It's got like in a day it went like 200,000. And that was one, stop telling me not to ignore tantrums, because I get so fed up with people saying you have to validate all their feelings. I don't see them coming up with other solutions though. That's the thing. I ignore that. I know they're young, they're, whatever. But I don't see them coming up with, what do you do instead? What's working for you? With a real tantrum, not these little outbursts that some of these parents claim are tantrums. But yeah, what's working for you long term, right through the teen years? What's working for you? Because if they don't have experience with teenagers, I wouldn't listen to them. You have to have raised teenagers to be able to teach parenting. You have to have lived with teenagers. Plus, you have to have experience with hundreds of other kids to be able to teach parenting. How could you not? It's like teaching parenting when you only have young children would be like teaching finance if you only have $10 in the bank. You have to have $1 million in the bank to teach finance. You know what I'm saying? It's experience-based, results-driven, with hundreds of kids, not just your own. You might just have easy kids. If you want to know more about tantrums, like in depth, I have a course on that. It's on my website, bratbusters.com. It's one of my mini courses. I just have 3 mini courses. There's a reason why I only have toddler courses on my website. It'll make sense in a couple of months. But anyway, one of them is tantrum busting, and it goes into great detail about how to manage tantrums. Okay. My 4-year-old lied for the first time today. That's a milestone, right? I wouldn't call it a milestone. He's just testing. They're just going, wonder if this will work. Just make sure it doesn't work. Just say, if that was a lie, there's going to be a consequence for that. Okay. And that's it. Don't overreact. Don't overreact. If you do, they're kind of in charge. Whenever you're disciplining, it's a business transaction. Calm as anything. Okay, you lied. Just say it like it is. Don't say, maybe that was an untruth and blah, blah, blah. I don't do any of that. I just say, okay, you lied. Here's a consequence for that. You can mop the floor or something, like just have a consequence. Look on my behavior board. It's free on my website, bratbusters.com. It explains how to discipline, teaches you how to give respect to get it and stay calm, because you're on that behavior board too. That's what makes it work. You're on it. I'm running a course right now, my beta course. I've got like 10 people going through it because I'm building this course. They're helping me build it, actually. So we're in week 4 now of 5 weeks. Anyway, one of the parents doesn't want to be on the behavior, doesn't follow through with the consequences on the behavior board for them. And I said, take them off. I said, there's no way we can have a parent on there who doesn't follow through with their own consequence. Just take them off the board. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. That happens. That happens in coaching too. It's a funny question, but I know it's got to be a continuation, so I'm looking back. Okay, you said, I have 4 girls. I never know when they're telling the truth. The problem with a lot of kids is they blame each other a lot. So they think they're getting away with stuff. That's more coaching. You have to set up systems and catch them in lies. You got to get good at catching them in lies. What if you have a baby and you can't leave the baby alone to deal with the tantrum? You don't need to deal with the tantrum. You ignore it. So that's perfect. You're busy with a baby. Perfect. You ignore the tantrum. You always ignore tantrums because you ignore the crazy and reward the calm. They're watching you. If you deal with them while they're having a tantrum, you're in the mess with them. You're part of it. Who's on the high road? If you're both on the low road, who's on the high road? I wait for them to join me there, and then there's a big reward for that. Oh, you want to go to the park? Not a big reward, but there's attention is a big reward. What do you think about putting a tracker in children when first letting them play out alone? You know, I'm not against that kind of stuff. I'm a huge safety nut. Like, I probably would have put trackers on my kids. Yeah. Like, I'm just a huge because I've worked with so many abused children, and abuse can happen like that. It's very fast. Can be very, very quick. So yeah, I'm not adverse to seemingly crazy safety measures. That was when I was a helicopter parent with safety. But when it came to social skills and that, or if they got a bad teacher, I'd say, good, it's good for you. Adversity builds strength. Put hair on your chest. But when it came to safety, no, I was a nutcase. I'll tell you a funny thing I used to do. My son was about 9, and we were at a mall one day, and he said, I have to go to the bathroom. And I said, great, come on, we'll go. And then he said, you know what, Mom? He says, I don't want to go in the women's bathroom anymore. And I knew that was coming. I knew I was pushing it. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. So what I did was it was in the middle of a busy mall, and I opened up the men's bathroom door, and I said loudly, okay, sweetie, you go in there, go into a stall. And if you're not out in 2 minutes, I'm coming in to get you. Okay. All I saw was men running out, zipping up their flies and laughing. I am mother, hear me roar. I'm keeping my kids safe because I don't want my kid to be flashed. Like abuse isn't always as bad as, you can think it could go. Sometimes it's just being flashed. So yeah, I made sure that wasn't going to happen. Plus I could actually see inside the bathroom when I did that. And poor men. I don't care. I'm a mother. I make no apologies for that. I'm keeping my kids safe. Okay, I'm about to sign up. I need help parenting. I was always controlling mom. Now I feel lost. But yeah, well, welcome. And if you're a yeller, just I have a private Facebook group. If you go through the course, you can get in this Facebook group. Anyway, and one of them said, oh, because it's great because they get to see other parents going through stuff, right? So one of them said about yelling, oh, thank God I'm not the only yeller. So I wrote down, I said, I'm always thrown off kilter if I get a client who says they don't yell. I'm like, what? Like it's that rare that I get a client who doesn't yell. It's that rare. So if you yell, it's a big club. The only reason you yell, you don't know what else to do. That's what I teach. My mom, I was never yelled at. My parents never yelled at me once. I didn't yell because there's other things to do. But if you don't know them, you're going to yell, right? Yelling works in the short term, but it backfires big time down the road. Okay, 3-year-old runner, get a leash, get a harness, get a restraint, whatever you want to call it. They have to earn their freedom. So you go somewhere safe and you say, and you don't put them on it. As soon as they run, clip. You do not run away from me. That's about, and some parent, not here. It's been like years since anyone said this to me. I would never put my child on a leash. So you never buckle them into a car seat either. You don't like them restrained for safety in any way, shape, or form. I would much rather have a kid on a leash than flattened by a semi-trailer. Makes no sense at all to me. Keep them alive. Bond is number one coming from a behavior specialist. Absolutely. Bond is number one. Yeah, absolutely. You got to be a safe place to land. You want I always work backwards. I'm always trying to get you into those teen years. Like I breeze through it. There's always the odd hiccup, but nothing to write home about, believe me. Anyway, so I'm always working backwards. You want to be best friends with your kids, but you're always parent first. Number one. I was definitely friends with my kids. I just didn't get back talk or anything. Like it was very rare, if anything. It would have been my son, but it was very, very rare. And it wasn't anything horrible. But yeah, it was very mutually respected relationship, but very close bond. They could tell me anything. The most important skill you can have as a parent is to listen to understand with empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. That's for pretty much all ages past the age of about 4 or 5. And then with teenagers, that's the number one skill. Listen to understand and show empathy. Okay, you listen to what they're saying to you and then shut up. I know it's hard. I'm a yabber. It was hard for me. So no matter what they tell you, go, oh, I get that. That would be difficult. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it. Now, the better you get at that, next thing you know, they are asking for, they're telling you everything and they are asking for your advice because they instigate it. You want them to learn how to be their own leaders, right? You don't lead them, teenagers, they lead themselves. You're just there for backup. Anyway, the second most important skill with teenagers is negotiations. Say, you know what I want from you is this. Now, what do you want from me? Let's start the negotiation. You have to let them learn how to run their own lives because you don't want them to be self-entitled, useless snowflakes when they're 25 years old who can't do anything for themselves. You want them to learn how to take charge of their own lives when they're teenagers. But if you've got that bond, they're going to tell you everything. I told my mother everything, and my kids told me everything too. So, yeah, we were safe places to land. We were trustworthy. We respected them, right? That's what it's all about. You feel respected. Any wait for the course? No, it's going to be available. I held back because I changed something in week 4. Week 4 came out yesterday, and week 5 is the last one. I changed something. I realized I paced it out over 5. Paced? Oh, I was thinking anyway. I was pacing it out over 5 weeks according to when I'm coaching one-on-one. It's a little bit different with a group coaching program. So I pulled something out of week 3 and I put it in week 4. I was going to have it in week 3. So I've changed things around. That's when I decided I got to finish this first group going through before I put it out to the public, because I want to make sure it's just perfect. Like it's just, you know what I mean, for best results. And yeah, they're doing great. You know, they're all different levels, right? Everyone goes at different levels. And then we have the Zoom calls. It's going really well. I'm really excited about it. But yeah, I've just been changing it a little bit as we go. So that's why I haven't put it out. There's no wait list. It'll just be thrown out there and then you can sign up. I will have probably a limit on how many people can join at one time, because I want to make sure that, you know, because I've only got like 10 people going through it right now. And then I want to make sure 10 is easy to manage. But then I want to make sure I don't want to get too many where I can't manage it, because it is a group coaching call. Oh, hello. I'm in her course now, and I've really done so much better with not yelling. Do it. Yeah, the yelling is, but the only reason people yell, they beat themselves up so much about, oh, I'm a yeller, I feel awful. So you're only doing that because you don't know what else to do. Don't beat yourselves up over it. Sheesh. God, I get mad when parents beat themselves up. Why does that bother me so much? I don't know. Why does that bother me so much when parents are so guilt-ridden and just feel awful about themselves? That bothers me. Yeah, get off your own case. Give yourself a break. You're doing the best you can. You're doing the best you know how. Just learn better and then you'll do that. We're all like that. We all got things we got to improve. You're doing the best you know how. You love your kids. They know they're loved. So we all make mistakes. Everything that you say I love. Really? You don't know me very well. I say some pretty silly things sometimes. Okay. Yes, give yourself a break. I guess it upsets me because I don't like seeing parents being hurt, and they hurt themselves, you know, with this guilt and the guilt. And I say, you know, guilt will, if you're working with me, drop the guilt for at least while you're working with me, and then see if you still have it afterwards, because it's not going to serve you during the process. When you're learning how to be a leader, if you do it with guilt and you're, oh God, I wish I'd known this before, I wish I'd done that, it gets in the way. There's no point doing that. You know, the road to success is paved with failure. We're all learning. We all make mistakes, and that's okay. That's human. That's normal. Don't beat yourself up. Okay, I've got some questions here. Well, okay. This is on YouTube, sorry. Someone said, as Starlight Sunshine is the handle here. If you don't love your kids, you won't discipline them. That's not true. Just because you don't discipline them doesn't mean you don't love them. No, no, I disagree. If you let them get away with everything, they will grow up to hate you. No, they'll always love you. Sorry, but I disagree with that. I don't want people to think that if they're not disciplining that their kids don't feel loved. No. Okay. Sorry, I got to get back here. Have you read books? Well, you mean like Fiction? I've never read a parenting book in my life. Kids taught me all this. I've never read a book on parenting or kids or nothing. I've never looked at what anyone else is teaching. Why would I? Kids taught me all this. Um, I use results. I'm result based, so I have like a lot of experience, and it's the results that taught me this. Not no, I've never read a book on. Um, no, I've seen the odd people have said over the year. I've been doing this now, coaching for 17 years now, and the odd times when I first started, people would send me stuff. Have you seen this? Have you seen that? And none of it ever resonates with me. So I've always been really different from anything anyone. I guess that's why they send me that stuff. They say, "Hey, have you this person's really popular up there," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." So that's why I don't want to critique anyone. I do. If I critique methods, I don't know who's teaching it. I'm not criticizing anybody because I don't know. I don't have a clue what's out there. I was invited to be on a panel of parenting experts, child development experts, and they said, "Oh, and this is the company you'll be in. This and who," and I didn't know one name on there. I'm very careful about that. I stay in my lane. I stay results experience based. Just through my own experience. Because I've been doing this for 51 years with kids. I'm in my 60s now, so just learn through your kids. Yeah, experience is you can't beat it. This is uh yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's just my style. I don't want to say what anyone else. I don't know whatever. Okay. You can also tell which kids come from a home with no yelling because they freak out at loud voices. Well, let me correct that. I was raised in a very loud family. Very loud. Lots of laughing, trying to talk over each other, trying to out funny everyone. But there was I never once was yelled at in anger. And my kids were born in a very loud house. I'm very loud. And it was a lot of laughter, a lot about funnying each other. So yeah, loud is different from yelling. But yeah, the only time I've ever been yelled at was a friend of a friend I went out with. This is a weird story. I knew her in a group situation, but we went out to a jazz bar because it was like a Wednesday night or something. We both like jazz. So I picked her up and drove there. And I found out later, had bipolar or something, but I didn't know that at the time. Whatever, doesn't matter. So well, I don't know if she had bipolar, but there's something going on there. But I didn't know her really. So something came up and it was nothing. Like she yelled at me, like literally yelled. I'd never been yelled at before. And I was like 26 years old, probably. I'd never been yelled at in my whole life. And I was just taken aback. And I took my purse, got up, and drove home and left her there. I never said a word. I still saw her in the group. She was extremely apologetic. She realized, like, you just don't talk to me like that. And, but yeah, so she was very apologetic, but I never saw her alone after that. It's the only time I've ever been yelled at. I don't deal with it very well. Like, it's such a disrespectful thing to do. Okay, bedwetting, you asked me about that. The reason why I can't really comment on that is it a medical problem? Some people have, I'm not a doctor, I'm just going to tell you from my stupid way of learning about this. They either have small bladders or their openings are more loose. That's the way, that's the way I've heard about this. So you got to do the practicing, start, stop, start, stop. So if a child is peeing, always tell them, okay, stop peeing now and start. You're going to develop the muscles, or they might just have really small bladders. I don't know which. But yeah, bedwetting is not usually a behavioral issue. It's often a medical issue. So also don't give them any liquids for 90 minutes before bedtime. And if they are bedwetters, I would get them up in the middle of the night, just get them up at 1 in the morning or something. They'll usually still be asleep when you do this. Take them to the bathroom or have a potty right near the thing and have them pee them. So that's usually because I deal with people who have bedwetters, but I treat it more like a medical thing, something they can't help. And sometimes they're bedwetters till they're 16, 17. If that's the case, it's usually, well, from what I've heard, I'm sure there's other reasons out there, but it has to do with their bladder. Like it's just different, right? Oh, the hate that I get? Okay, You must be new here. So the amount of hate you get is getting crazy. They take everything way too literally. Anyone who's been watching me for a while, they know I love that because I'm shaking things up and I'm okay with that. I'm just fine with that. That video I just did yesterday, I think, about stop telling me to ignore not to ignore tantrums. I knew that was, I put that out there. I invited that because if they're seeing, because the people who come after me, why are they looking at me? Like, why on earth would they look at me? They already know what I'm like. So, and you see the similar names come up and again and again and again. And that's okay. I like to shake things up. It's who I am. I have no problem with negative comments. I'm not the least bit swayed by any of that. Like I'm older, right? Like, doesn't mean anything to me. It's just shaking things up. I'm okay with that because I believe so strongly in what I teach. I have no reservations about throwing it out there and bring on the hate. I'm okay with that. By the way, some of those people who came after me big time when I first came on TikTok a year ago, came out, and some of them have become clients. So why would they keep watching unless it's resonating somewhere, right? It must be making sense. But because I'm challenging their belief system, the only way that you can challenge my belief system is if I'm insecure about it. I'm not, so you can't challenge it. I'm upsetting them because they're insecure about their belief system, and I understand that. So that's good. That means I might be able to help them. I'm not trying to be patronizing, but that's just basic psychology. You only get upset about your belief system if you're fragile about it. You don't really believe in it. If you really believe in it, you don't care what other people think, right? That's the blessing of age. I like being old. It's great. You don't care what people think. Okay. Do you still keep in touch with her? Me? With who? Was I talking about someone? Do I still keep in touch with her? You talking to me or someone else? Who am I keeping in touch with? Oh, I don't see a response to that. I don't know who I'm keeping in touch with. Oh, that girl. Oh gosh, no. Oh, you mean the one that I walked out on? Oh God, no. Yeah, that's not my type of person. The thing is that as you get older too, you get very much into, I only see people that bring me joy. And that's it. You get older, you don't put up with anything anymore. I know who I am. And I only affiliate with people that bring me joy. That's it. Period. Doesn't matter if you're family, friend, neighbor. I'm polite to everybody, but I only affiliate with people who bring me joy. You can do that when you get old. Ah. Can you ignore 11-year-old tantrum? Okay, if they're still tantruming at 11, you got bigger fish to fry. You got to figure out why they're tantruming. Okay, so I can't help you with that. If an 11-year-old is tantruming, something's going on. Their needs aren't being met in some way, usually. Okay, so you might want to hire me for that and figure that out. I don't know what's going on. You get hate. People don't like to hear what hurts them. Well, like I said, they're just fragile. Why are they even on here if they don't like what I'm saying? Not so much hurts them. That's different. Challenges them, makes them feel insecure. You know, years ago, this is such a weird thing. I was always pretty confident. And years ago in our 1978, I graduated high school. And we wrote down pet peeves. We had to write pet peeves in this annual. Anyway, mine was insecure people. And I didn't mean it the way that it sounds. It makes it sound like, oh, I'm so secure. It's not like that. Insecurity brings out the ugly in people. That's what bullying's all about. That's what nasty comments are all about. That's what hate is all about. It's all because you're feeling, when you're secure and happy within yourself, you don't spew at other people. So insecurity brings out the worst in people. It just does. So yeah, that's what I meant by that, because I understand all bullies are insecure. All nasty comments are based on insecurity. All hate online is based on insecurity. So it's not hurt, it's insecurity about yourself. You don't know who you are. So you spew at other people to build yourself up. That's that old saying, cut other people down to build you up so you can step on everyone else. Yeah, that's what that comes from. I've been around for a while, so. Plus, I've worked with troubled teens. So talk about a learning curve. The reason why I love working with troubled teens is they're the best of us and the worst of us. They're very fragile, but they're also very smart and very developed in a lot of ways. So they teach you a lot about humanity, good, bad, and ugly. And that's why I loved working with them. I learned a lot about myself and life through troubled teens because they're so raw. They're so, what you see is what you get. Okay. Hmm. You asked about your husband. I don't get in a lot of what I do. I always say I'm not a counselor or a therapist. I have no qualifications. I don't, but that's a huge part of my job. That's what my clients always say. And a lot of it is marriage counseling. If your problems are kid based, it comes up all the time. Um, if you're fighting over money, can't help you. If you're fighting over kids, can help you. When I tell my 2-year-old no, he does it more. Well, you're not doing the actions. They're not about words. Toddlers, 1 and 2-year-olds, are about actions. They're not about words. These mini therapy sessions are garbage with toddlers. Anyway, so it's consistent corrective actions. So every time they do something bad that you don't like, you say no and you take that item away or whatever. There's consistent corrective action. It's got to be fast though. It's got to be right in the moment. And they learn through repetition. They're not going to learn the first time, maybe not even the 50th time, hopefully the 100th time, because they're toddlers. They're just forming. They're brand new, fresh human beings. Think about this. If you've only been in the world for 2 years and for the first one, you were a potato laying on a mattress, like, think about it. You have no context of the world. You may even get that you shouldn't do something, but you don't understand that maybe if you didn't do it, life might be better. Like you just don't think, you don't have any sense of reasoning. There's like the frontal lobe isn't even, it's just hanging there like a piece of spider web right now. It's not developed yet. So that's the reasoning. Don't try and make sense out of them. You can't make sense out of nonsense. And toddlers just don't have any common sense yet. Don't try and figure them out. Just consistent corrective actions. Plus, the best tip I have for raising toddlers is I kind of sailed right through it because I completely childproof my whole house. Even plants, nothing was below the waist in my house. Everything was up high. So I never had to say no. I could just relax and enjoy them. I had a friend who kept saying, oh my God, he got into the toilet brush again, was brushing his teeth with it again. Like, why on earth would a toddler have access to a bathroom? Like to me, and then I never challenge friends. I never asked that. But she said, well, you got to teach them how not to touch things. And I'm like, yeah, no, thanks. I don't want my toddler washing their mouth with the poo brush. Anyway, so yeah. And then also my kids weren't used to being precocious. So when I took them out, they didn't tend to get into a lot of stuff when we went out either. So yeah, childproof your house, make your life easier. Also, I had friends who their kids would get into Vaseline and spread it all over the place. Why on earth would a child have access to Vaseline, peanut butter? What are you doing? Paint? What are you doing here? Why would you set them up for failure? And then you get mad at them. They're 2. How can they have any concept of maybe poop on the wall isn't a good thing? Like they just don't. You watch them like a hawk, or you completely childproof the house. They're going to do stuff. What about disciplining ages 4 plus? That is my behavior board. It's free on my website, bratbusters.com. You're on that behavior board too. It starts at the age of 3. It teaches you how to give respect to get it because you're on there too. They're watching you. You're setting an example. Hey, I'm accountable for my actions. So are you. Here's the rule. Here's the consequence. You broke the rule. There's the consequence, and make it happen. Kids always have 2 consequences because it's hard to get them to do something. So you have the taking something away as the backup. The 2 consequences. The first is the positive action. Okay, you broke the rule. Now you have to scrub the floor or whatever. And then if they won't do that, Then you say, okay, fine, 24-hour media blackout. That was your choice, and make it happen. Once you've said that, you got to make it happen. Okay, I'll do the 4 now. Too late. 24-hour media blackout's already started. You see, it's like law. Just treat it like law. 1 rule per week, 1 battle per week. If you're doing it with me, we'll push harder because I know how to sort of fix up your mistakes. That you're going to learn more if you make mistakes, by the way. All my clients make mistakes. That's normal. But if you're doing it alone, you don't want to mess it up. Pick a really easy rule, an easy battle you know you can win. Okay, there's 3 behavior boards, 1 per week. By the end of the 3rd week, you should start to see some respect. If not, you might want to hire me and I'll show you what you were doing wrong, and we'll tweak it. Oftentimes, even when I'm working with people, I'll say, whatever you do when you do the behavior board, don't do this. And they'll forget every single detail. There's a lot that goes into all this stuff. A lot of what seems subtle isn't. What is blackout? No screens at all. No TV, no iPad, no phone, no computer, no screens. Blackout is no screens. But that's just one of them. You can just take their Lego away, or you're taking something away. So you start with the positive action. If you can't get them to do that as the consequence, then you do the negative deprivation. You take something away, because you can always control that. Sometimes people say they don't care about anything. I have never once worked with a family where I couldn't find leverage. Not once. 17 years, not once could I not find leverage. If you don't have it, if you don't have something that they care about that you can take away, we invent leverage. So, okay. Okay, I actually have to get going. I got a million things to do today. It's Victoria Day here in Canada. I hope I got that right. I never know what's going on with stat holidays. Anyway, so yeah, but I've still got a lot of work. You work for yourself, you work 7 days a week. Certain things I don't do on certain days, but like I don't coach on Sundays. Unless I'm dealing with crisis stuff, life and death, teen stuff. And that's it. Even then I try not to, but I will do that. But anyway, I have to run. My website is bratbusters.com. And if you go on there, you can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. You're on that behavior board too. That's what makes it work. I don't know why I'm pointing so much today, trying to make a point. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow.